Testing. Down, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, it takes a little bit for it to come to my ear. Mute yourself.
Hello. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Josh. Hi, Joe Ped 2-in-1. Hello, Demerty. I hope y'all are doing good and you guys can hear me real well. So, welcome to my stream. Today I am going to be bullet journaling, and for my streams going forward, most of them will be on Sunday at this time as usual. And what I'll be doing is I'll just be doing a journaling spread in one of my bullet journals, and then I'll end the stream with a writing prompt, and we'll take some time to just journal together and just have good vibes. So, let's get right into journaling because that's what we're here for, and that's what's fun. So, make sure y'all can see that well. So today I'm going to be making my personal library spread. So at the beginning of this booklet, if you can kind of see here, I had this like kind of library spread of all the books that I own and kind of which ones I've read and which ones I haven't. And this was kind of done, I think, in September of sorts. And I just am not the happiest with it. So I'm going to remake it because I feel like I've improved enough that, and I have a more concrete style of journaling, so that I really want to remake this and make it look good so I enjoy using it, because I am not going to use my bullet journaling spreads if I don't enjoy using it. So we're going to flip to our empty page here. Flatten it down. And then today I have some fun materials I'm using. I'm using these wonderful scissors from Walmart. They are Scotch brand. And then I have my color palette of my King Art markers. So I have this beautiful brown, green, blue, yellow, a pink, and a purple. And it's kind of rainbowy. And I picked these colors based off of this washi tape, if it focuses. It's a sprinkles washi tape, so it just looks like sprinkles you would put on a cupcake and stuff. And so I picked these colors based off that. And then I have these matching pens here to kind of go with each of these. If you are having a network error, it is probably on your end, and you may need to exit and refresh one Loganator. Okay, so with these, so I got the yellow, the blue, and the pink here. It's got the purple and brown. And then I have this green. It is a different brand from these because this did not have the shade of green I wanted. This is from Walmart. These are like, if you want a good felt tip pen, I highly suggest getting these. Like, they're from Walmart. They're really cheap. They write so well, and they don't bleed through too much. I love it. This is the brand, and it's like called Sippa. I got these off Amazon. I really like them. I think I got this washi tape from Joann's, so if you guys are wondering. And then I also have some food stickers to kind of go with this, so that I can put these on the shelf. So my setup today will be that I'm going to kind of do my usual style. If you look in here, most often than not, I frame the page with this like bookshelf type thingy, so that each page is its own little bookshelf, and then I'll have the books on it. And so I will be doing the same thing for this spread, but I'll be kind of doing this cute little sprinkles theme with all these colors and stuff. Sprinkles theme with all these wonderful treats on the shelves with my books. Also, one Loganator, go maybe see if Megan is, or you can watch the stream on your phone if you still want to continue watching. Now, okay, so let us get right into it. So, first we're going to start taking my brown and using that to make the bookshelved edges. Okay, low-key, what really sucks right now is that I lost my ruler and I have no idea where it is, and that bothers me because I can't really do these lines as well as I hoped, but you know, we're gonna freehand it. I do not have the steady hand that Amanda Ridgely does have, because you know, she's the queen of not only bullet journaling but drawing straight lines, and we love her. But we'll do what we can here. Aw, thank you, JoePet211, for the follow. Cool. And you guys are free to like get your journals out and follow along if you do also want to make a bookshelf spread of sorts. Go find your ruler. I don't have a ruler though. Like, I don't know where it went. It kind of disappeared. Demerty. I should probably just buy a new one. Anyway. But if you guys want, you can like do your own thing while I'm streaming, or you could also journal with me and like try to make this spread as well with your own markers or any coloring utensils you got. Or you know, if you just want to put me on as background music or background noise, that's fine too. Okay. It's okay if it bleeds a little onto the other page because we'll be doing that one as well. Now, the paper for this notebook it's a little thin, so like it kind of bleeds through, but like it doesn't bleed through enough that if I like go on to like if I draw on the next page or use it, it won't show up. And one Loganator, I suggest just trying a different device such as your phone. Ah, yes. Thank you, one Loganator, for following me. I appreciate it. Okay. And I always like filling in this crack so it looks nice and uniform. Okay. We'll set up the other page too. I was gonna like just do this one and then go do that one, but you know, it'd be smarter to just do both at the same time. Okay. And for those of you who do bullet journal, I guess I'll explain my bullet journaling style, because I know if you look at Caitlin's Corner, she has a more minimalist style, or if you look at Amanda Rach Lee, she's got this really cute, she's got cute doodles and stuff in all her spreads. I loved her June spread with the Paris theme. Like if I did that spread, I probably wouldn't do like Paris specifically, but I do like the aesthetic of like the like loose papers and stuff and the nice cozy doodles. So I might go more like that with like a light academia style. But I did enjoy her spread. And then there's also like Minhu Bullet, who does a very functional spread because you know he makes it so he can use it as his work and stuff. And he's got some doodles, but he also uses a variety of materials to kind of give him some art and make it look good without overdoing it. And so I do really like both of their all of those styles, but my style is very much like, I'm not the biggest fan of white space, so I definitely am a page filler and stuff. So that is how I style. So I will like fill the page. I want it to be exciting. I want it to look cute, and I want it to change a lot. So like if you can kind of see here, like I filled the page and that type of thing. Okay, so there was a spread I did that I want to look at this one because I like the spacing here, and I figured I could use that same spacing. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5. Cool. Okay. And this is a lined notebook, which isn't my favorite, but I should use up more of my own notebooks and not keep buying more journals and stuff. So that is why I am using this as my reading journal for now. 4, 5. Here, we'll do the thicker end because then it looks like a shelf. It's thick enough to be a shelf. I hope she's not dying. It would suck if this died like mid-spread. Just clean it up. I'm going to add some more color to these so you don't see the little moments where I picked up and reset down the pen. Give it some nice shading. I say that term like I always do this in my spread. but I don't. But I am trying. Okay. Next course of action is we're going to take all these wonderful pens and we're going to start drawing some books at random. So let's start with, I'll make it so you guys can see it better. I keep pulling it closer to me. Okay. So I'm going to line there. That's a very thin book. Next, we're going to use this color. Kind of go over a bit. We're going to make this book not as long, but it's going to be thick. Then we'll do the green. And I kind of, when I'm doing something with this many colors and stuff, I tend to like try to use each of them once and like cycle through them, but also cycle through them like in a random way so it doesn't look like a pattern of sorts. Okay, we'll make this one a little bigger, a little longer. I hope you guys are here for the marker and pen ASMR. This one's a little harder to see, but that's okay. You guys ready for this? That's my pen opening. How fun, isn't it? Then we'll put this one right here and make it nice and tall. Okay. And we'll put this one as a nice long and thin one here. And I know my lines are super straight, but that's fine. Do I want to use a sticker yet? No. I don't know if I want to put a sticker down yet. Okay, back to yellow. Okay. Once I get this shelf done, we'll do some more fun chatting. But I'll get this general shelf done so you guys can see what it's like. And then while I do the other shelves, we'll talk and have a good time. I forgot to do the bottom of that book. Cool. And so how this will work is that like I'll also write the title like in the book with this like with the pen, and then once I've read the book I'll use these markers to like color it in. And then my shelf will look gorgeous. And now we will add a sticker. So, given the space, we're going to go with one of these cute cake stickers from the Happy Planner food pack. We're going to go with chocolate cake, or the chocolate frosting on vanilla birthday cake. Kind of, well, make it look like it's sitting on the shelf. Cute. I love it. So, set those here. And there you can see my little books and my shelves. So this is kind of like the format I'll do most of this shelves. The sound. Yeah, I am kind of struggling with my sound situation. I will improve it in the future. So turn me up all the way, and I'll see what I can do to make sure you guys hear me a little bit better. Real quick. Cool. And I'll make sure to aim at the mic and talk a little louder. Sorry about that. Okay. I also do need to make sure I incorporate the washi tape into the spread. So I'm going to kind of put that up here at the top or at the bottom. Kind of debating. I feel like I could definitely do it at the top because there's more room, and then at the bottom there's like kind of less space, so you could still see the frame of the bookcase around the washi tape. So I'm going to put that up top. Of course, the last time I used it, I ripped it, so I gotta snip off that little bit. Washi tape scrap, you will go right there for now. Cute. And then I could take like a black Sharpie and kind of write personal library spread and stuff in that. So, cut that quick. Okay. Next, I'll do the other side. If I can figure out where I left off on my washi tape. Because that is the worst thing about washi tape. It takes you forever to figure out like where you cut off. I am glad you are hearing fine, Demerty. You are definitely not in the same room as me. Cute. Nice. Okay. On to the next couple shelves. So, for those of you here, you guys are totally free to follow me on Instagram at L.I.L's Journaling, but there are dots between the little parts, so it's like L.I.L's, and there should be a link to it on my Twitch homepage for you guys as well. By the way, and I don't like that little space there, so I'm going to put a book there. And it's going to be a tall and thin boy. Okay. So, thank you, Demerty, for putting that in the chat for me. Okay. So, this will be my wonderful library spread, personal library. And if you guys wanted to, another thing you could pair with this spread is a like library lending spread. So if you are kind of like, if you have a bigger library set, personal library, and you like lend out a lot of books to your friends, you could totally like make a little spread where you're like, okay, who has what book, and that type of thing. Okay. And if you guys would like to see me make that spread or any other types of spreads, feel free to put it in the chat, and then like in future streams I could do that for my stream, or I could also find the one I've already made on Instagram, because there are some different types of spreads I've made on Instagram, like I do have a watch list spread and that type of thing, and I have like a recipe spread and like different ones for types of goals. So if there's a specific spread you guys want to see, I can totally make that for you guys, because it'd be fun and stuff. And I like trying out new styles of spreads, especially layouts. One thing that is very common in my like normal bullet journal for my weekly spreads, I always change up the type of week, how my weeklies look. Okay, so this felt tip pen kind of has a little fracture in its nib, but that's okay, just makes it look extra thick. It's a beautiful thick pen. I just gotta be careful so I don't get those weird lines. Okay. When I was coming up with this spread, I was like in a small debate about how it looked because I really like the bookshelf style because it's like it's something I'm used to, I'm good at, and it's like it does the job. I don't need to like change things up or anything. It does what it needs to do. So I do really like the bookshelf spread, but I also wanted to like kind of switch things up. And I was thinking, oh, what if I did like a giant cupcake on the page, and if you're looking at the cupcake bottom, and it's like the little cupcake cup thingy holder thingamajig, there'd be like a different book like written into like each little fold or crease of it, and then like my favorite books on top as the different like layers of frosting on the cupcake. But then I realized that I'm not really that great at drawing cupcakes, and I also don't want to have to live with the fear that my frosting layers on my cupcake may look like crap. So I decided against that. But I still wanted to like find ways to incorporate the sprinkles into the theme other than it just being my color palette, because I want to add more art or kind of fun things to my spread, give them some variety so they don't all look the same and super boring, because that's what made the original spread look boring, is because it had the same bookshelf theme, but like it looks cluttered and it looks like a boring list of sorts. It didn't really fit the theme and it didn't have anything else in it. And what I am hoping to with this theme is that the same thing with this one is this. It was hard to read some of these titles. And so I'm hoping with this one, since I'll have such a good variety of books, one, I'll be able to read the titles better, but then like I'll be smart enough to remember like, oh, if a book doesn't fit or a book title doesn't actually fit in the like thin yellow book right here, then I can just color it in yellow and it looks fine. And that type of thing. I did cake. I'm going to take some from this. I think I'll do, I really like this one. This is a really cute shake. We're going to put the shake right on the shelf. Because in real life, these would totally melt and get all over the books, and that would be horrifying. However, this is a place where that doesn't matter. Look how cute that looks. I love that. Okay. Next we'll do some drinks. I got some like wine glass stickers that I figured, some of the more colorful ones that could totally go on the shelf. So we're gonna go like this. Put the blue one right next to the blue snacks. So I'll keep this up so you guys can see. We'll move those out of the way for now. Okay. Okay, so since we are doing a books spread, let's talk about some books. One sec. Taking a staying hydrated. So we're gonna talk about some fun books now. So first, we're gonna talk about this wonderful book that my mom got me. It's called The Inheritance Games. I'll show it in both views. I just there are 2 books out in this series right now, and I have read both of them, and I am very upset that the 3rd one isn't out yet. It comes out August 22nd. But it's a really good book series. Cute little romance of sorts with some fun mystery and puzzles mixed in. If you guys ever watched Knives Out and you liked the vibes of it, then this is a good book for you. So basically, the main character, Avery, she gets this random Texan rich guy's inheritance, and she has never met him, she doesn't know him, and she finds out a month later that this happened, and so she the rich people eventually have to come find her because her fam thought it was a scam and stuff, and so they come find her, and she ends up in the mansion, and the guy who died and gave her the inheritance has two daughters and one dead son, one dead son, and then she 4 grandsons and stuff. And so she comes to this mansion and she's inherited it all, and her family, the main thing they got from their grandfather was their debts paid, and that's it. And so now she's living in this mansion with the whole family, and she has to live in the mansion for a whole year in order to get the inheritance and stuff. If she doesn't, it all goes to charity. So even if the people also living there tried to kill her or anything, they will not get the inheritance and stuff. And our lovely main character also is living with her stepsister because her stepfather divorced her mother, and her mother's dead and stuff. So, and she's so not really anybody else can inherit the money but her. She doesn't have anybody who would get it if she died or something. And so the whole thing is kind of a mystery of figuring out why he gave it to her of all people. And that's the premise of the first book. And then the second one kind of continues that idea, but with its own mystery of sorts. And the whole time she's juggling with these 4 grandsons, and 2 of them aren't love interests. One's a love interest for her stepsister who's also staying with her, and the other is just kind of a younger brother vibes. But she got 2 boys that are her love interest, and these 2 boys are also dealing with their own trauma because they accidentally caused the death of their last lover, and that's fun. So if you guys are looking for a fun read, I highly suggest that. Okay, today we got a little pink wine glass here. I'm gonna put that right there. Pink wine glass, because that goes with the theme. And this creamish color one kind of fits with the yellow enough that we're gonna put it right there. And I'm just gonna be cycling through these stickers so they all get some use and variety in them. And then, yeah, The Inheritance Games, that is the name of the book again, if you guys wanted it. Okay. And then, the next book I want to talk about is one that I am reading for school because I am a college student. And this is in my creative nonfiction class. It is You Can't Make This Stuff Up by L.I.L. Showed it both views. Now this one is like a guide for writing creative nonfiction. And so I don't know if you cannot tell, I'm into bullet journaling, reading, and writing. Like those are my main things. And so I took this creative nonfiction writing class. We'll see. With our school, it just like offers creative writing as a class, but it doesn't tell you exactly if there's a specification on which class you're actually taking. So if it's a poetry one, a drama, creative nonfiction, or normal fiction, or whatever. And so I was like, oh, I really hope it's fiction. And then I get to class and it's creative nonfiction, and that's the exact opposite of what I want. So I was very tempted to drop this class. But I thought, hey, let's give it a shot. Let's see how things turn out. And if it turns out good or not. So I did, and I also had already bought the books. And not only bought the books, but also my friend was in that class. So I was like, okay, this be fun. I can do this. And so, creative nonfiction, it is basically, I kind of like it a bit more now that I know what it is, because it's not just like writing boring essays. It's like you write creative essays either about your life or something factual or something you're interested in. And it's just like, it's kind of like journaling, and I'm into journaling. So I thought, okay, this is an okay thing. So, but I really liked Gutkind's work. One, he picks out pretty great essays to talk about in that book, while also like teaching you how to write creatively, like creative nonfiction. And if you are, and like even if you aren't, if you're more of like, oh, I just want to journal about my life, like it'd be a good way to kind of practice journaling. They give some good advice. One thing that I've noticed in almost all books about like writing and improving your writing is that you need to write often and you need to write every day. And so I'm not the best at doing that, but it is one of my goals to get better at doing that. And so, yeah. And then also in this class, to go along with Gutkind's book, is we have, in fact, the best of creative nonfiction, and it was edited by Lee Gutkind. So here's that wonderful book. And my teacher has been just kind of picking out essays to read and that type of thing, and I have really enjoyed it. And there's one of them in here was called like Being Brian's, and this guy like contacted as many Brians as he possibly could and was just like talking about the different types of Brians and what they're doing, and like messaging them and talking to them. And he like, one of them's a girl and stuff, and he's like, yeah, I wonder if I can find it. I don't think I'll be able to, but he gives like a really nice list of like all the different types of Brians and what they're doing. I want to find the next 163. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, let me find like a cute little excerpt. So, one of us is paralyzed from the chest down. One of us is 18 and likes to party. One of us played second base very well indeed for the New York Yankees in the 1978 World Series. Several of us have had problems with alcohol and drugs. One of us is nearly finished with his doctorate in theology. One of us is a 9-year-old girl. One of us works for Promise Keepers. One was married while we were working on this article. One welcomed a new baby. One died. Which is like, and he talks about in that like essay about how looking at all the Bryans and like kind of seeing your future and your past in it. Oh, can you guys still hear me? Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure because it looked like you guys couldn't. But he kind of talks about how all the Brians are like a makeup of his past and future and stuff, and it's a really cool concept. And it like the whole essay is him just talking about like what the other Brians responded to him when he contacted them. And it also reminds me of the Josh fight and how little Josh won the name to keep the name Josh. And I thought that was cool. So, yeah. And so if you guys want some good inspiration, I do in fact recommend reading In Fact. Haha. Puns. I love puns. If you guys got any good jokes or puns, please put them in the chat. I also like reading stories like not like I don't read a lot of nonfiction. Not usually my cup of tea, but like I like the creative nonfiction because it's a great way to kind of get some perspective of like other people and their lives and like what they're going through and stuff. Like there's one essay about this doctor who had to take care of like a manic patient and it's at like this mental hospital, and the doctor had been at the very same mental hospital as like the patient she was taking care of, and so she was kind of like having flashbacks. Oh, thank you, Megan Glace, for following me. Come on, Megan, I believe you can be very punny. I believe in you. I know one Loganator has jokes up his sleeves. Where are they? But yeah, I like getting perspective from books and that type of thing. They're really great. Okay, these are just very tall and thick books. And it kind of looks like a cake, but it's not. See my little cake of books? I'm trying to point and look at the screen at the same time. And you know what would make this even better? A really long book just like flopped on top. Because you know, if you have a crowded bookshelf like I do, books are just going to be on top of books and everywhere. Wow, why did I do that? I needed that like that. Yo, we're on the last shelf of this page. Okay. So I got this cute little blue boy here. And I really like this one too. I don't want to do these wine glasses, but I also want to do like one of these boys on this shelf. And I'm kind of debating which one to do. Any thoughts, guys? Which colored alcoholic drink would you like on my bookshelf? Clink. The last shelf I did kind of like a pink and cream. So I might go for the blue to kind of, and the orange to add some light into it, some lighter colors. Or I could do all three. That might be fun, unless you guys have other thoughts. You better put them in the chat now before I start putting stickers down. Orange, okay. This little orange boy. Thank you, Megan. We'll put both of these boys in, because this one does have like a little orange on it. Yeah, we'll put them next to each other. That's cute. And then we'll put the blue one on the far side, because now I've decided I want to do all three. That one, it could totally spill. It's gonna spill all over my books. Oh no. Okay. We're gonna go tall boys. We're gonna make him thick. For funsies. Okay. Now, let's talk about something that I'm currently reading that isn't just for school, because for those of you who do follow me on Instagram, you'll know that one of my goals this year is to read 25 books that are non-school related, like that I don't have to read. And so, one of those books is right here. It's Beyond the End of the World. There you go. Cute. It's by, let me get their names right because it covers it on the front. Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. Whoa. Megan Glaze. It is the Megan in this book is spelled the same way your name is, which is like the second time I've ever seen a Megan name spelled like that. So that is very cool. Congrats, Megan. You have another with a similar name spelling. So, okay. That is the second book in its series. The first book, let me remember what it's called because I don't. It's called The Other Side of the Sky. I got it from the library because I don't have money to buy books all the time. And I asked, library is a good way to test out books before you buy them and know that you like them. And I've had like a love-hate relationship with this series. See, I like it, and it's got like an interesting plot line. Its main focus is like essentially the earth like kind of went to ruin, and so long ago a lot of like they built all these like kind of spaceships of sorts of floating cities in ways they could sustain themselves, so they could like grow their food on these floating cities, and they could kind of like just take care of themselves. There are no animals up there except for like birds because they're like floating in the sky above the clouds and that type of thing. And like there's a king that lives up there and he's kind of the ruler of it. And then everybody who kind of left to the skies thought those on Earth had died and like were gone. And the plot of this book is that someone from the sky, like he builds a little flying craft and he crashes down. Oh, look at that. Funsies. Okay, he crashes down like onto Earth and he's like, great, now I'm gonna die because who knows what's down here and it's toxic. And then, you know, he finds life and there's like this whole like little city and they worship this goddess who they believe has magic. And so it kind of talks like he's from a very scientific world, she's from a magical world, and they talk about like how those things, and it's their adventure. And she, the goddess on Earth who like finds him and stuff, the boy who crashed is like, oh, you're the one we've been waiting for. You're gonna one that's gonna come bring the end of the world, and I'm gonna help you, and that type of thing, because he's like a part of this prophecy for their world. And so, you know, it's fun for them because he's like, I am not going to be a part of this prophecy, and she's like, but you have to, and you know, okay, that's like the base of the plot. And so like it's been pretty interesting, but my love-hate relationship, like it's got the good plot and good characters, but like the romance in it, because you know, of course, like if you're going to have someone from a scientific city and someone from a kind of magic-based city end up together by fate, of course they're gonna fall in love. But like, so the goddess, like, she can't be touched, or else the belief is that she'll lose all her magic and stuff. And so like the romance is really weird because it'll just be like scenes where he's like, and my hand, and his hand was like inches from my face, and it's as if I could feel it. And I was like, it was okay, but not like my favorite way of romance because I was a little awkward, and like in some instances it was forced. Like I know like in times of desperate need some people will like come together and fall in love, and that's another book trope and stuff. But I just didn't like the way they did it in this book. Okay, we got a page done. Look how cute. I can totally see like the yellow marker fading in and out, but you know that's just because my camera's weird. Okay. And now we have the very fun task of getting all these titles on the other page. So I'm going to take a quick picture of this so I can like look at it while I'm writing in the titles. So yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with Beyond the End of the World and its series. Which is like, I'm kind of okay it's from the library because like every once in a while there's a part of me that's like, I don't know if I actually like this. So as I debate, who knows if it'll actually end up on my if it'll actually end up on my TBR of sorts. And like by TBR I mean like I use my Amazon wish list to keep track of the books I want to read, cause for me it's like it's way less confusing that way. I don't know why I folded this. It works better just not folded. It's way less confusing that way, and it's a whole lot easier to like just kind of keep them all in one place, and I don't have to keep making lists and spreads and then forgetting they exist or like which journal they're in. So I'm just going to start filling in all the purple books as they go. So we got Illuminate, which is a great book series. And then our little wedding. Oh, what does it say? I'm gonna mark all the books that I can't read what it says, because otherwise I will forget to add them later. Okay. I got a thick purple book. Yes. Okay, that's a thick boy. Where's my thickest book? I'm gonna switch to pink real quick, because this is it's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Other Stories. You know, a long title needs a thick boy. Okay, right here. Gotta make sure I get the tip right. Pink is gonna be difficult to write with, now that I think about it. What does that say? World? What? I don't know what that says. This is also why I'm making this spread again, so it's in handwriting that I can read. Next we have, gotta make sure I get all the purple ones flawed. And then Lord of Monsters. Okay, purple one, done. Let's go to green. And after that, I'll color them all in. liquid. Trying to make sure that I put like the one word title books on like the thinner books and like the longer titles on the thicker books while I'm doing this. Wonder. Okay, book talk time. If you guys liked Harry Potter, you guys would also like Akata Witch. So it like takes place in Nigeria. It's got like girl discovers world of magic. She discovers she's like a witch of swords. Hence the name Akata Witch. And one, I really like the take on it because it's like with the way magic works, you get rewarded every time you like gain new knowledge. So like every time the main character learns a spell or like learns some new knowledge about like the magical world, just money rains down on her. And like it's the wizard money type thingy. But I think that's like a I love that concept because like it kind of puts, instead of just like putting the power on like, or like considering those who are the best or those, or like those who are the best are those who like somehow fought their way to riches or like inherited it and that type of thing. It's like those who are the best are those who are the most knowledgeable. And I think that's also like a great way to kind of encourage people to like gain more knowledge and like incentivize it, but in a good way and that type of thing. So I really like that book. I read the first book. I haven't read the second book yet, Akata Warrior, but I've heard good things about it. But it does have like Harry Potter vibes and stuff. I think that's all the green ones. Cool. Do we want to do yellow? Yeah, we'll do yellow. Okay. Those of you in high school, those of you who have been through high school, you've probably had to like deal with classic literature and like having to read it. And I know like a lot of people probably didn't like that because it's like, oh, this is boring because one, it's an older English than you guys are used to, and therefore it's also more complicated in some ways and harder to read. But let me tell you, Frankenstein, great. We love it. I love it. Because, you know, Frankenstein, you know the story of like, oh, guy builds a body and builds like a human and brings it to life and terrors a town. It's a bit more than that, a little more intense in some ways. I cannot read the yellow, so I'm gonna actually switch it out for black so I can read it. Okay. But like, so the book itself has like a frame it has a framed story. So it's like framed stories are like a story within a story. And so it starts with this like, I think his name's Walter, and he's like just riding on a boat, trying to like go to the Antarctic, like the North Pole, and like see what's up there, and see if he can live there. And he's like the first one to do it. And while he's on this boat, he finds this random guy in like a tiny little boat, and he's just on his own, and he's like, "What you doing, man?" And he's like, "Looking for someone." And Walter's like, "Who are you looking for out here? This is the North Pole. You are not fit for this journey." And this guy turns out to be Victor Frankenstein, which is the man who created the monster and stuff. And like Victor starts telling his story of how he came about to create this monster. And essentially, Victor's an ADHD dropout college student who makes poor decisions. And that is all you need to know about him. But that's what he does. He goes to college, and everybody's like, "Hey, don't focus on this old science because we got a new one. Don't focus on, I think it's Darwin, and like all his stuff, and like don't think about Darwin and all that jazz. We're gonna focus on our new science." And Victor's like, "Yeah, but I like old science." And so he finds like some teachers at his college that like tell him about all the old science and stuff. And he totally like gets into it and doesn't realize that new science has debunked everything. And so he gets into it, and that's how it leads to him creating this monster. And then, one sec, I'm also trying to write and talk. But, so he creates this wonderful monster, which only, like, this monster isn't stupid. Like, it starts out stupid, like a toddler, like a newborn baby who can't speak. But, like, it goes and just lives in the woods and, like, stalks his family for a little bit. And I mean stalking is, like, he lives in, like, an old shed on their property and just watches what they do. And, like, learns from them. And so he learns, like, really good English and French. And, like, learns how to speak really well. And he's way more eloquent than Frankenstein. Like, the monsters, like, can speak better than him. And so then it goes, like, once again, the frame narrative comes in, and it goes into his story and stuff. But, goes into his narrative, and he's being all eloquent. And, like, the monster just wants, like, a lady friend. Like, that's all he's looking for. And he's, like, because everybody who sees him runs away because they're terrified, even though he can talk. Like, at one point, the monster finds a blind person, and he goes up and like talks to him, and the blind person's like totally fine, but the minute his like seeing children come in, they like freak out, and they like try to burn him and hurt him and stuff. Also, the monster does heal pretty well, which is very interesting and stuff. Oh, what does that book say? Okay. But so, like, he's, like, a good person, and he tries to be good, but, like, the whole world just, like, kept getting mad at him. Like, he even, like, saves a little girl, and they just kept getting mad at him, so that's what makes him mad, because he doesn't have anybody who understands him, and even his, like, maker is terrified of him. Also, y'all have heard of Mansick? Frankenstein? Victor Frankenstein is the king of Mansick. Anytime something goes wrong in his life, he is bedridden for months. And you know what fixes him? Looking at pretty flowers. That's who he is. That's Victor Frankenstein for you. Just whiny little baby. And yeah. What was I talking about with the monster? But you know, like, monsters are cool. Nobody likes him, so he gets mad, and like then he just goes like on this massive killing spree with Victor's family. And Victor, this absolute buffoon. Victor, a buffoon, an idiot. How did he ever create a monster when you consider how smart he is? The monster's like, "Hey, if you don't make me a wife, I'll be with you on your wedding night." And Victor takes this as, oh, he's gonna come kill me on my wedding night. Even though the monster has already killed most of his other family. And not, like, Victor knows the monster has been killing his family members to get back at Victor. And he needs Victor alive to make him the new wife. And so Victor, this idiot, like, prepares that, like, oh, the monster's gonna come kill me. And I need to be, like, prepared and stuff. And freaking, he puts his wife alone in, like, the bedroom, and she doesn't know that this is coming. So he puts her alone in the bedroom, and he's like, I'll leave you there. We'll be fine. I'll be there in a second to, like, give her time to get ready for their wedding night. And then he, like, waits, and, like, then he hears a scream, and he goes and finds that his wife is dead. And it's like, of course, Victor, you stupid. Like, of course the monster was gonna kill your wife. He's been killing all your other loved ones. And stupid Victor Frankenstein. I don't know how he could be so dumb. So foolish. But I will admit that, like, and then, like, also as the book ends, you'll get out of the monster's point of view and then out of Victor's point of view back into Walter's. So that's cool. Also, Frankenstein was written on I think a dare. Mary Shelley was having a competition with her friends to see who could tell the best horror story on, like, a stormy night. And so, of course, she won, and that's how we got Victor Frankenstein. But at the same time, like, if you look at her life, it's whack. Because, her main husband's name was Percy. And he saw his doppelganger, like, at this party one weekend. And at that time, if you see your doppelganger, that's a bad omen. And, like, Percy freaking dies and drowns, like, a little while later. And when they pull out his body, they're like, oh, we'll burn it. And, like, give him, because, Mary Shelley's whack. And they go to burn it, and what happens is the heart doesn't burn, so Mary just keeps it. And I think she's buried with it right now. So that's a little fun fact for the day for you guys. I need water after telling that story. But yeah, that's Mary Shelley and Frankenstein. You guys should totally read it. Yeah. Okay, it's all for the yellow ones. Now we're into brown. Okay. There are a lot of books on my thing that I haven't read, and I feel a little bad about that, but I'm gonna keep getting books from the library and reading those instead. Because I don't know why. Okay. Some of these books I got from my wedding. Shout out to at JoePed211. Or I don't know why I needed to say it, but shout out to JoePed211. He decorated for my wedding, and he went to the thrift store and got me all these, like, cute books and stuff. Like, he got me these purple and blue books so they could be centerpieces for our table and, like, hold stuff up, like the chip bowls, because we had tacos there, because what else would you have at your wedding? And so some of these books are from that, and I've, like, I look at them, and some of them look interesting. Some of them I'm still debating if I'll actually read them. But it's nice to have them. Like, I got the book Mockingjay from it, and it's like, I've read The Hunger Games, but I don't remember if I have, like, another copy, because I have some here where I'm at and some in storage, some books in storage, and I don't remember if I have my own copies in storage. Who knows? Not me. Yeah. Okay, what color am I doing? Brown. Brown. Okay. That's a long title. We're gonna grab pink again real quick. Pink somehow got the biggest ones. Actually, we'll put this one here. What kind of books do you guys have on your shelves? Because as I'm looking at these, I got like my romance, I got some fantasy, I got like 2 or 3 science fiction books. I got my school ones. I got a lot of like classics and like books of poetry and big books of short stories and fictions. And then I also got like a lot of marriage ones, which I got from my wedding. So, what kind of books do you guys have on your shelves? And why? Because I have the books on my shelves that I either got from school or that I enjoy reading. And books that I want. Or books that, like, a lot of the books I try to pick out now are like, they're books because I want to gain perspective on things and like look at other people's point of view. So that's like the books Dear Justice. Oh, I lost my pen. I'll be right back while I grab that. Okay, I'm back. But the books I typically get or that I'm trying to get now are like, besides my fun fantasy ones, they're also like, I want perspective. So like, I have, what's it called? Arsenic and Adobo, and it's a Filipino murder mystery because I want to look at other people's perspectives on things and, you know, like, spread out my view of the world. Or Dear Justice and Dear Martin is like a little 2-book series that I really like, and it talks about like racism and the different forms it takes in, because sometimes it's like, because, you know, racism can take the form of like someone that is not within your group stereotyping you and kind of saying like, oh, you're like this, and kind of treating you differently because of your race. And then it can also take the form of those with the same race as you trying to force you into a stereotype, which I like. Dear Martin talks about this a lot, where it's the main character Justice is like trying to figure out like, oh, what am I supposed to do with certain situations, and there are people like within his like neighborhood that are like, oh, just like come join our gang and stuff, because that's what they're gonna think of us anyway. Like, even if you weren't the one at fault, they're always gonna see you as a criminal, so might as well be one. And I kind of like that conversation that it opened up about racism and that type of thing. And it also, I really liked it because it also showed the possibility that people are able to change, so it wasn't just like, and what other book did this? All American Boy also did this, where people are able to learn to see the other side, and it's not just one side against the other. It's like both sides can have a conversation and learn from one another. And so I really like that a lot. So if you are interested in those books, that is Dear Justice and Dear Martin. Read Dear Martin first. And then also, what else? What else? Oh, All American Boys is another good one that talks about that. Yeah, I need more liquid. Look how full it's getting. This is so exciting. And I don't think I'm like, yeah, I'm here. So I'm about halfway through my books. So we will need to make another page. I may start it in this stream, but not finish it until like on my own, just because I don't want this to go too long. But we'll see how it goes. So we're doing pink now, because I got some thick book titles. Or I'm going to be switching between the two so I can put in my thicker titles. Okay, since I am a major journaling advocate, I do, one thing is that my grandma, I think it was like this past Christmas she gave it to all of us, or it was by my wedding when we had a family reunion. I'm not entirely sure. But she gave us this journal, like this book form of like, she called it Our Small Plates, and it's like a big book that just has like her history in it and all that jazz and like different stories and memories from her and her kids' childhoods and stuff. And I finished reading it and I really enjoyed that. And one thing for me is like everybody always told me like, oh, you should journal and stuff because then your kids will want to read it. And I'm like, what could I say that my kids will want to read and like my grandkids will want to read? And a sec. And I could just never figure it out because I'm like, what would they want? Because at the time I would journal and I'd be like, I just say like, had breakfast, I went to this class, I went to this class, I did this. And it'd just be very short sentences. But like with what I've learned from her and like nonfiction writing, like it can be more than that. It can be stories, it can be kind of just things you've collected. And so I consider my bullet journals a form of history in my own way. Do I have my bullet journal with me? Yes, I do. Let me grab it. But like, here's my bullet journal, my main one. And it's like if you, let's go to a cleaner page. Yeah. Like if you looked at this day, we're gonna take a quick look. Like you can see what habits I cared about. You can see what like my focus was with my to-do list. You can see what I cared about, like what I got done with my classes and what classes I was taking. You can see what I did that day. And like, it is a journal. And it's like, it's not your typical like, oh, I did this today and I did that. But I like the way it journals because that form of journaling, because it's like a good way to, like, I'm still expressing myself and I'm leaving history, but then also telling and writing down specific stories gives like my future self a history. And it was very interesting to learn about my family's history. Like my uncle, he has like 6 degrees. like bachelor's and master's and stuff. And I'm like, blows my mind that he has 6. Like, he has spent most of his life learning. And I think that's like the coolest thing ever. And it's just cool to kind of find those stories and see how, like, learn about my family members and like the lives they've lived, and like, and I really like that. Yeah. So I do encourage you to journal and like go talk to your grandparents about their history, because it's great. Yeah. And like, in the event, like, when it comes, when my grandparents finally move on to the next life, I will have something to remember them by, and I will have their little small plates to kind of relive that history with them and kind of have those memories again. And I really like that. And I won't have to, like, they're not going to be permanently gone. There's a brown book I missed. Okay. I'll make that one. Calvin and Hobbes. Y'all, Calvin and Hobbes, pretty great. You are not the biggest reader, but you do like comics. Calvin and Hobbes is the way to go. And based on what I know about One Loganator, you should totally read Calvin and Hobbes. Okay. I just gotta make sure that this is facing right. John Milton. Wild man. Crazy ideas. I really like his ideas. I do like him a lot. Okay. Ooh, this is a series. Oh, I don't want to split it up. Heck. I'll circle it, because I probably should make like a series section. I'm gonna do that. Okay. So, I'm going to ask a very important question to all of you in my chat. A question that my father commonly asked me. What are you guys having for dinner? I was beef stew, Demerty. Whoa. I'm definitely not the one that put that together, and it's cooking in the crock pot now. It's gonna be delicious. Hopefully, it's our first time trying it, so hopefully things turn out. What about you, Joe Ped 211, Megan Glace, and One Loganator? What are you guys having for dinner?
At the moment, it's just me.
It is.
It says 1.
Oh.
I just refreshed it to double check.
Okay. That's fine. For me, I'm having beef stew with the Murdy and stuff. Okay. I do want to say this when it comes to books. yes, there are certain reading levels, and it's good to stay within your reading level, but like, don't be afraid to read books under your reading level, or like a variety of books or above your reading level. Like, Earwig and the Witch. It's a new Ghibli movie, and it's the first one they've done in 3D, but it's also based off a book, and I think it's like middle school age lit. And like, there's nothing wrong with reading it. Like, I kind of grew up and I was always told like, oh, you got to read bigger books and you got to get farther ahead, but it's like it's okay to take time to read those like smaller books and stuff, and kind of read books that you want to read and for fun. And it's like a nice calming read. It's like a good brain rest when you read those smaller books and stuff. Okay. What does that book say? That says Pedersen Christmas. That's what that book is. My father likes to make he goes on Shutterfly and he'll make books with like picture books of stuff that we do and stuff of like adventures. So he did like a Christmas one of like all of the things we did during Christmas, and he did one for my wedding, and he did one of just me, and it's mostly memes, and I love it. Like my own meme book, 10 out of 10. I encourage you guys to go to Shutterfly. This isn't sponsored by Shutterfly, but I encourage you to like make your own meme book because it's a good laugh and it's a great thing to show your kids one day. Okay. Yo, we're on the last book, Arsenic and Adobo. Last book for this page, for now. Cool. Now we got all these books written in. We got a cute shelf. I'll do the same on this side, but I probably won't during the stream because I'm going to end it soon. But before we do that, let's get our markers and color in all the books I've read. I should make a note of where I left off. Real quick. Gonna do that first. Right here. Sneak peek at next month's reading journal setup. Okay. Don't need this anymore. I'm just gonna kind of go through them one at a time so I make sure I can read them all and I don't miss any. And you'll see how many books on my list I haven't read because I keep getting distracted. Or with school, like I'll get really busy there and like it's hard to like read all these other books when I am busy reading like my books for class. Like last semester, I would have like to read 2 whole books in like a week. And like it's possible, but it just got exhausting. Because I just got exhausted of like having to read these books and making sure that I'm doing it right and all that jazz, and making sure I understand what I need to for work. Wow, I can't read that, so I'm gonna read. I did. says are small plates, and I'm gonna add that in. Now, some of these books I've had like trouble determining whether or not I've read them because they're like illustration guides or they're just like information books that I like for school, textbooks that I read like some things in it but not everything. And so it's like, yeah, I've technically read it, but not really. And or like I read so many different parts of it for school that I'm not entirely sure if I read the book as a whole. Like a lot of textbooks my teachers will jump around and I'm like, could you just read it straight through so I know if I've like read the whole thing or not? That'd be nice. Thank you. Okay, that is also hard to read. Glad I am learning this as I'm doing this. So the blues and pinks, I will have to make sure I write with black. Or get a lighter shade. Pretty sure I did all of this. And finish this up. Artist Way. That was a good book. If you guys are like trying to get back into your creative spirit, that's hard to read. Or like wanting to get back into like any form of creativity, I suggest reading The Artist's Way. It is great. Things Fall Apart. I just finished that. Things Fall Apart. I just finished that book. I finished it this week at work because sometimes we have to go do laundry. And so I'm just paid to kind of sit there and make sure laundry keeps going. And so I get to read the whole time, which is great. Okay, last shelf. Wow, I have barely read anything, but that's fine. Arsenic and adobo. Once Upon a Broken Heart. That was good. I know it was like an L.I.L book for recently, and the L.I.L version is gorgeous. But like, I don't have the all creative version. But the version I have is very beautiful, and I loved it. And that was a really good book. Again, right. Cool. So this will be end of the spread for today. Look how cute. I got a lot of reading to do, if you couldn't tell. But, and then I'll do this page and do the rest of my books later. So that's it for this one. So, before you guys think, oh, it's time to go. No, it is not. It is not time to go yet. I have other things. So, this is kind of how each stream will go. I'll start each stream with a main thing to journal with, like a main bullet journal spread so you guys can see it. Here, we'll go to chatting real quick so you guys can see me. So, we'll do the main bullet journal spread. I'll kind of have one planned out for you guys to show you guys with like the materials and stuff, and you guys can do it with me. And then I will end each stream with a writing prompt and journaling, and like written journaling, or kind of like journaling history. So at this time, I invite y'all to get your notebooks and your journals, get them out with me. If you do journal differently, like if you type it online, get your laptop ready. If you are a scrapbooker, get your scrapbook stuff. If you kind of like doodle your way while journal, like you doodle about your life or draw, that's how you journal, get that as well. Just go get your journal. Or get a new one if you don't have a form of journaling yet. Okay. So today we're going to journal. I have a writing prompt for you guys. We'll kind of spend a couple minutes doing that, 10 to 15, where we'll just kind of do it in silence so that you guys can focus on journaling. There will be the tunes in the background. Hopefully you guys can still hear those. But yeah. And then let's pull up my journal. So this is a journal I got from my grandmother. It's got a nice little path here. I like it. It's nice. It's not like too crazy. It's nice leathery black, and then it's just got like some cute texture. And it just says journal on the side. Inside it's just lined paper, and it's got little quotes at the bottom. So this is the page I'll be using. You've probably seen some of my other pages on my Instagram from in here, and that type of thing. So this is my journaling style. I found that it's helped me kind of tell more about myself while also kind of being creative and showing who I am. So today we're going to start off with today's writing prompt. I'll write it up here, and I will also put it in the chat for you guys. Today we are using more King Art markers, and these are just like my color palette for the day. I got a tool pen to write with that goes along with the color palette, and then I have more Happy Planner stickers to use in my spread, and then 2 nice pretty black washi tapes. So what is today's journaling prompt? We're gonna write it, start with green. I'll write it here. What? I'm gonna change the colors around because it's funsies. I mean, yes. Is. Now the suspense is killing you guys. Your favorite self-care activity. So that is today's journaling prompt. What is your favorite self-care activity? Feel free to I encourage you guys to kind of tell a story with this. So give a moment, write about the moment you experience this form of self-care, or just kind of describe it in depth and kind of give an example or something. And then put this here. I'll put that in the chat real quick. You get a great view of my arm. So I put that in the chat for you guys. So if you forget it, it's in there. So just write about your favorite self-care activity. If you don't want to write about that, feel free to just kind of either write about what you've done today or pick an emotion and write about why you're feeling it. So I'm going to go nice and quiet here, turn up the music a bit, and I will be back with you guys at, we're going to say 3:55. I'll be back with you guys then, or whenever I'm done with this. And yeah, see you soon. Hello everyone, I'm gonna ask you guys to finish up your little thoughts in your journals and stuff. I have finished my journaling for now. Really like this. It was a good cool down to the stream, I would say. Joe picked 2 and 1. I agree that like movies and running. I'm not a runner. I don't usually exercise, so running isn't a self-care activity to me, but if it is for you, good for you. Love that like self-care involves like your self-care involves like taking care of your body and getting a little healthy, and then movies are also a good way. What I mostly wrote about is I just kind of talked about my self-care activity is totally like creative time. And if you guys want to list your self-care activities or what you talked about in the chat, feel free. But I'll continue talking about mine. So I just like, I love like taking time at the end of the week to just kind of debrief and be creative is my favorite. I especially like, what I'll do is I'll like clean the whole house, because then like clean house, clean mind, like cleaning out all the clutter and the mess. And then I'll get my favorite snacks, I'll put on a good show, and I'll just kind of get creative. And that good show could be Hermitcraft, and when I'm watching Hermitcraft, I'm being creative on Minecraft. Or if I'm watching like a bullet journaler like Amanda Richley or Jashi Corinne, I'm bullet journaling. Or if I am watching Great British Baking Show, I'm gonna be baking because that's fun. Speaking of baking, I made cinnamon rolls this weekend, which is great. And if you talk to my husband, I totally like went on a creative binge and did some self-care yesterday. If you were on my Instagram, you noticed that I had a work in progress, and I did finish that, and I did show it off and stuff. And I also made cinnamon rolls that same day, so I was in a very creative self-care mood. But bullet journaling, being creative, is my go-to. Here's my lovely spread. I'll also post both of these spreads on Instagram for you guys to see. And then this notebook also has like little quotes at the bottom and scriptures, and somehow they always go with what I'm journaling about. I don't even plan this. This one said, "Oh come, let us sing unto the Lord. Let us make a joyful noise to the rock of our salvation." And to me it's like, it's kind of talking about being creative and kind of enjoying ourselves and being happy with ourselves. It's talking about a lot of things, but I kind of took it in that way, so I highlighted it. So this is going to be our little wrap up for the stream today. Thank you all for coming and like starting to follow me and stuff. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day. I'll thank you for the heart, the nerdy. You can follow me on Instagram for these posts. More bullet journaling. Not everything I do on stream will be on Instagram and vice versa, but you'll get like, if you missed the stream, you can look there, or you can rewatch the streams here. My Insta is the same as my Twitch thing. L.I.L journaling. If you scroll up chat a bit above Megan Glace's "I'm Not Very Punny," my mod linked that for you. This week I will be doing, so if you look at my schedule, it shows that I'm bullet journaling every Sunday at 2. That will continue. I am also going to try this week to, and I'll add that to my schedule, to bullet journal, do another stream on Wednesday. And what time did I put that up? It did. I think I also said it made it at 2, but we'll double check in my calendar. Yes, so at 2 this week, I will also be bullet journaling on Wednesday. So be sure to be there. Be there, be square. And for Joped 2-in-1, if you might be into this, or anybody who is interested in an exercise spread, I am doing that for the month of June and July. I'll be making a kind of exercise challenge because I want to make sure I'm kind of working on my body more and being a little healthier. So that will be the spread I am making on Wednesday, along with another journaling session at the end. So thank you all so much for coming. Don't forget to follow if you haven't already, and I will see you guys Wednesday. Bye.